Hey, heathens! As most of you know, I have two children, my son and my stepdaughter. And obviously my stepdaughter is from my second marriage. After my first marriage, there was you know, a situation that occurred involving the custody of my son. And we went to court. Now, being that I'm in the Bible Belt of the South, and being that I love my son and I wanted him to be with me, I was very concerned about this whole idea of, Christian backlash from the gavel. But at the same time, I, am me and have to deal with that every day. But anyway, we're in the courtroom, and one of the accusations that my ex-wife makes against me has to do with this whole idea of teaching my child about Santa Claus. Of course, he was very young at this point. The judge actually had a problem with this. Now, of course, the judge, he was no dummy. I mean, he knows that there's separation of church and state. He knows that he can't interfere in my religious beliefs or lack thereof, and so therefore, he really couldn't issue a verdict on this, and he did give me custody, but he did make it clear that he didn't like the idea that I wasn't teaching my child about Christmas and Santa Claus. During the course of the whole thing, here's the funny part. He asked me why, and I told him that I refused to lie to my child. I believe that honesty was an important quality, and that is something that everyone should have, and I wanted to instill that into my son. And so therefore I refused to lie to my own son, because I remember when I was a child and I found out that there was no Santa Claus, I wasn't sad. I was pissed. I was mad because everyone had lied to me. And I said back then that I would not lie to my own child whenever I had children, and I held to that. I wasn't going to lie to him. I was going to tell him the truth. And the judge asked me, so I suppose you don't do the Easter Bunny either, huh? And I said, well, the last time I checked, the Easter Bunny didn't exist either. His response was, well, yeah, I know that it doesn't exist either, but it's beside the point. And we moved on. Kind of silly, dumb, and pointless. My attorney told me, said, don't worry about it. He can't do anything about that because of, we haven't violated any laws. So anyhow, I did end up with custody of my son. But anyhow, the point of this whole video has less to do with that, more to do with the other side of things. The reason why I refused to do Santa Claus and the whole bit with Christmas, again, I did feel slighted because I've been lied to, but more than that was because when me and my ex-wife were together, I was a Christian, and I didn't do Santa Claus because I thought it was sacrilegious. I found it extremely offensive as a Christian to give all the credit to a fat guy in a red suit who danced around with elves and flying reindeer versus the whole birth of my Savior bit. So to the Christians who watch my channel, I ask you, do you do Santa Claus? You hypocrites. But, I understand I was a bit more fundamentalist than some. But still, come on, Santa Claus. This is supposed to be the most important holiday of your entire religion, and you're celebrating elves. And those of you on my War on Christmas video had an issue with me pointing out your hypocrisy. But whatever. Don't take my word for it. Think for yourself.